Goo Goo Dolls, Better Days, here on Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman as we turn to this Democracy Now! Global broadcast exclusive. It's graduation season. Students across the country are celebrating their hard-won academic achievements, and in high school, there's no greater honor than the title of class valedictorian. Traditionally, the student with the highest academic record is invited to address the graduating class at many schools, and that's exactly what Evan Young planned to do when he was named valedictorian of Twin Peaks Charter Academy High School in Longmont, Colorado. However, Evan was prevented from delivering his speech at his graduation ceremony after school officials learned he planned to announce he was gay as part of his broader message about respecting differences. In the days leading up to graduation, school principal B.J. Buckman reportedly instructed Young to omit the disclosure. When Evan refused, the principal called the student's father and prematurely outed Evan to his dad. Then the school prevented Evan from addressing his class and also did not recognize him as class valedictorian at its May 16th graduation ceremony. Evan Young is a graduating senior with a 4.5 grade point average and a scholarship awaiting him at Rutgers University. A story sparked national outcry from gay rights activists and allies all over the country. Well, on Sunday, Evan Young did get a chance to deliver his speech. The 18-year-old spoke at the annual fundraiser for the gay rights group Out Boulder. He was introduced by Out Boulder's executive director, Marty Moore.
So when Evan and I started communicating about all this, we really did try to work things out without going to the press. We didn't want to go to the press. That's not what we were doing. And you can ask people who wanted to go to the press. They said, no, we're not going to the press. We're going to try to work this out like adults. And so Dave Montez, who's here, who's a great colleague of mine, and I'm very grateful for Dave, and I went into a meeting and tried with the principal and some others and tried to get a venue for Evan to give his speech, which they wouldn't allow him to do. They refused to do that. When I talked to Evan and I said, our only thing that we can do is bring public pressure, this is what he told me. I have mixed feelings about making the story public. I don't want to seem like I'm bitter and trying to exact some revenge because I'm not. I wouldn't do something like that. I only think we should do something if it is absolutely clear that, number one, this will improve my school in the long run. Number two, this will lead to increased acceptance for the LGBT community. And number three, to ensure that my situation doesn't happen again.
Out Boulder's executive director, Marty Moore, introducing 18-year-old Evan Young, the valedictorian of Twin Peaks Charter Academy High School in Longmont, Colorado. Now we turn to Evan Young himself. He was supposed to give this graduation address on May 16th, but instead it was last night, Sunday night, in a backyard with hundreds of people gathered, many of them politicians. This is Evan Young's graduation address.
In the words of one of my heroes, Stephen Colbert, dreams can change. If we all stuck with our first dream, the world would be overrun with cowboys and princesses. Now, I don't really remember what my first dream was, although I'm pretty sure I never wanted to be a princess, but my dreams have changed many times over the years, and not all of them I've fulfilled. However, there are two that I've stuck with my entire life. One, finish high school with perfect grades, and two, most importantly, wear a cape. And tonight, I accomplished both. When I was a toddler, I used to watch the show Arthur on PBS, and in one episode, one of the characters got like an A on a test or something, and I distinctly remember saying to my dad that I wanted to get straight A's in the future. I didn't really know what that meant at the time, but sure enough, over the course of my life, I would fulfill this goal, give or take that B I got in art class in 8th grade, which doesn't count because art's not a real class anyway. With this being said, I'm quite honored to be the class valedictorian, a word which, along with feminism and thesaurus, I haven't quite figured out how to say correctly. In all seriousness, this distinction truly is an honor, and I can confidently say at this moment, standing up here, reluctantly delivering a speech to the school with a green cape fluttering majestically at my back, is the greatest moment of my life so far. But first, I have to say thank you to everyone. I know you guys are probably tired of being thanked at this point, and I know thanking people in speeches is super cliche, but it's a good cliche like slow motion or training montages in movies. So you'll be thanked whether you like it or not. Audience members, thank you so much for sitting through all these speeches that you knew you were going to be bored by. In approximately 6.5 minutes, your trials and tribulations will be over. If at any point during the speech you feel like pretending to go to the bathroom so you can play on your phone in the hallway, you know who you are, come on. I won't be offended. Fellow students, thank you for putting up with me for so many years. As off-putting and sarcastic I was at times, you were always so nice to me. I love you guys, and while we're probably going to make new friends wherever we go, they won't be you, and that just makes me so sad. In fact, the other day I almost cried at the thought of leaving you guys. Almost, but not quite. My manliness is still intact. And I would like to thank my teachers for all the wonderful things they've taught me, although frankly I've forgotten most of it. I had a bad habit of making stupid comments during class, and I can't thank you guys enough for putting up with me. As often as I complained about your homework, assignments, your class behind your back, I never complained about you. You guys are just too awesome for that. And I'd like to thank my family for all their encouragement and support, and for forcing me to do my college essays despite much whining and procrastination on my part. I'd especially like to thank my mother and my brother, Troy, for hiding candy in their rooms. Those gumdrops and lollipops got me through so many boring classes. And of course, where would we be without the internet? Probably the greatest invention since the wheel. In fact, I dare say the internet is better than the wheel because, as I'm sure you visitors from out of state can testify, wheels are pretty useless unless you have Google Maps to tell you where to go. Whether you're scrolling through Facebook instead of working, or frantically reading through Spark Notes in the 5 minutes before English class because you forgot to do the reading last night, come on, you know you've all been there. You just can't thank the internet enough. I mean, really. And finally, I'd like to thank the Coca-Cola Company and all its subsidiaries, which have not only stood as unshakable icons of American consumerism, but have also provided mankind with a delicious source of caffeine for so many years. And I like to say the speech is sponsored by them, but it's not. They didn't give me any money. Unlike Hillary Clinton, I don't make millions of dollars a year for flapping my lips. And now we arrive at the heart of the speech, the inspirational and meaningful part. For those of you who have already been sufficiently inspired, or who have already determined the meaning of their existence, feel free to play on your phone. Just remember to laugh every once in a while so I feel like I'm being funny. But for the rest of us, we're going in. All right. So since we're never going to see each other again, unless you, of course, you care to hop over to Sprouts at some point during the summer, I thought I should share several of my deepest and darkest secrets. First, I dislike doing homework. No, seriously, I hate it. No me la gusta. It's not just that it's boring, that's a given, it's just that most of the time doesn't feel like it's necessary or helpful. The line between homework and busy work is indeed a blurry one, because most of the time, they're pretty much the same thing. Now let me qualify this. Not all homework is bad. Sometimes it's helpful, but like the Heimlich maneuver, you're only supposed to do it when it's absolutely necessary. Otherwise, you're just going to make children throw up for no reason. Homework's okay when it's intended to reinforce the things learned in class or to prepare students for the next lesson, but not when it's just meant to make the bleak, dreary hours of school take up even more of a student's day. In fact, homework is kind of like those 18-month wall calendars you see at like Barnes & Noble or something. Like, yeah, sure, the first 12 months are helpful, but what am I supposed to do with the last 6? They don't make calendars that start in July, right? So by July of next year, I'll have to put up a new calendar that starts in January, but then why can't I just use that calendar? Sorry, I totally forgot where I was going with this. Anyway, students, if your grades are good and you occasionally feel stressed out and don't want to do your homework, don't feel like you have to. Just relax, play on the internet, and drink some Coca-Cola. To reiterate, I am not sponsored by them. And second, I never took notes in class, and I only paid just enough attention to crack a joke every once in a while, but not much more. I was usually busy doing other things, like twirling pens, or working on homework that was due in the following class period. And I also like to procrastinate on my work, seldom finishing an assignment more than a day before it was due. One time I finished an English essay at 7 a.m. in the morning on the due date after pulling an all-nighter, and somehow I still got a 100% on it. I have no idea how I got straight A's in high school, as I was not the best student. And I have so many more secrets to reveal. Mr. Beacons, in AP US History, I wrote down all the answers to the tests in my textbook, so one lucky student this year didn't have to read any of the chapters. Miss Whitmer, who is currently here right now, in AP Euro, I dislike doing outlines so much that I just underlined important passages in the textbook and just copied them down on a sheet of paper when I got around to it, but I was too lazy to erase the marks before I gave it back to you. Miss Gilmore, I only read about halfway through Crime and Punishment before switching to Spark Notes for the remainder of the book. And I may or may not have stolen your Jolly Ranchers earlier in the year. Hasn't been confirmed. Not saying anything. Miss Freeman, I hardly ever sang in choir, and when I did, I mostly sang with the ladies because I thought it was funny. And Troy, one time I stole your... Oh wait, you're my brother. I'm not going to tell you anything. Let me tell you a big secret, my second biggest one, in fact. I once asked a girl on a date, and you guessed it, I'm not really supposed to tell you. Earlier in the year, I had many classes with her over the course of the year, and I gradually began to notice how adorable she was. About a month ago, I typed into her calculator, "Will you please be my first girlfriend, signed Evan?" And she said no. Thoroughly embarrassed, I wrote her a letter, and I will now read you this letter. Oh, God, okay. My dear friend, I'm sorry I asked you to be my girlfriend. I did not intend to startle or demean you in any way. It's just that I've always seen you as more than a friend on account of the hours of class we've had together and the amount of time we've known each other. I just wanted to get to know you even better and be around you more in these last few months we get to spend together before we part ways for the remainder of our lives. I think you were smart, friendly, and adorable, and you're the only girl I've ever had a crush on. I want you to be my girlfriend because I genuinely adore you, but I perfectly understand if you do not feel the same way about me. We'll always be friends. On a more serious note, there's something I would like to reveal to you. You may have already suspected this, but I hope this does not change your opinion of me. I'm gay. I've been attracted to men for as long as I can remember, and I've never had a girlfriend because I prefer members of my own sex. But I thought that if ever in my life I am to refer to someone as my girlfriend, it may as well be the best friend I ever had. Sincerely, Evan Young. And, well, I'm not quite done yet, I'm sorry. We're getting there, though. And that's my biggest secret of all. I'm gay. I understand this might be offensive to some people, but it's who I am, and whether you've always suspected this or this is a total shock to you, now you know. When I was writing this speech, I was endlessly debating with myself whether I should reveal this on account of how divisive an issue this is and how gay people tend to be stereotyped, and I thought that if I did, I should repeatedly apologize and beg you guys not to think any differently of me. But then I realized I don't have to. I shouldn't have to. If there's one thing I learned at this school, it's how we can still be friends even if we profoundly disagree with each other. And sure, there's only like 30 of us, so it's not like we had much of a choice, but at times it took a serious effort to put up with one another. We disagreed and argued about many things over the years, about gun control, the minimum wage, politics, books, movies, who would speak at our graduation, pretty much everything else. But no matter how much we disagreed, we learned to overlook our differences and respect everyone else. No matter how wrong we thought they were, no matter how annoying they were, no matter how boring their speeches were, or no matter what weird snacks they brought to history class, from coffee creamer to coconuts. And I want everyone here to do the same. So before you leave, I have one final request for you. Hug someone. That's right, hug someone. Students, hug a teacher. Democrats, hug a Republican. People who own a gun, hug one of those darn liberals who wants to snatch it out of your cold, dead fingers. Trekkies, hug someone who likes Star Wars more. Mel Gibson, hug a Jewish person. Conservative Christians, hug an agnostic. Hug a gay person while you're at it, too. Actually, please don't, because I don't want to hug everyone here, but you get the point. And finally, we're at the part you've all been waiting for, the end of the speech. This is the part where, in the words of a sappy love letter, we part ways for the remainder of our lives. Oh, God. I wrote that? Oh my gosh. Okay. As these are literally the last words most of you will ever hear from me, I'll avoid saying anything stupid and keep it short and simple. Goodbye, everyone. I'll miss you. And whatever happens to us and wherever we go, my only hope is that we'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when.